always loved Spot. Spot, come here, baby, come on. I took care of Spot. Yeah, I did, all of his needs. Now, are you just all gonna hold this up and record? No, just take some pictures and then put it down, okay? Please, because that way I'm really honest, but if everybody's got their camera up, I'm gonna be very PC, okay?
Oh yeah.
So let's just, you know, really.
Thank you, Gates.
What? Thank you, yeah, okay. He's excited. Well, you just got that right up there, okay. Okay, I got yours, okay? Hi, I got yours, okay? Red phone, yeah. I know you hate me. Okay. Yes. No. Take that down now. Yeah, come on. I'm actually really sure. Oh, she's got, look at that. Just, I swear, I'm kidding. Hi. Okay, put it down. Now, I'm going to tell you the real dirt. No, I'm not. There's no dirt. There's no dirt. That's the thing in space. We just like spray it away. It's like incredible. Were those not unbelievable images from the Webb telescope? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know, if you're thinking you're really important in the world, think again. Because that universe is massive, and I found it actually reassuring to know that I was that unimportant. It made me excited to be a part of something so much bigger than myself. I thought that was awesome, actually, because it made me feel I'm responsible to sort of take part in this amazing world we have and just join with all of you and make it a better place. So that's what I'm into right now, and I thought it was actually quite cool. I've been watching what they do every day when they release photos. This is extraordinary. Do you understand? We are like looking at something billions of years ago. I mean, phenomenal. So, well, I'm very happy to be here with you. I've had a great time talking to a lot of you. I know things about you. I'm going to remember those things. But let's start right off with questions. So do I go right here in front of me? Like, okay, here you are. Okay.
Hi, Ms. Mcfadden. How are you?
Great.
Fantastic. So first of all, thank you for visiting us in Tampa at Tampa Bay Comic-Con. We so appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Really a pleasure.
And next, thank you for being the best Star Trek mom a guy could ever ask for. So my question for you is, out of all the cast interactions that you've had in your tenure with Star Trek, like, can you tell us an anecdote from one of those off-camera interactions? Is your favorite little piece of information you'd like to say about?
Well, the word favorite is what makes it so hard, because the minute someone says, it's like saying, what's your favorite movie, or what's your favorite music band? There's so many, then they're all scrolling down. Here's what's the best. We genuinely are buddies. We have a group text. I was texting this morning. My space son, who I love dearly, you might know him as Will Wheaton, he just turned 50 yesterday. Yes! And I was invited to the party, but I came here, okay? But I mean, I love him so much. I love how he has evolved. I mean, he is such a great man. And that's what I felt when we did this new season of Picard together. I was just looking at LeVar, Marina, Patrick, all of the cast, and going, we are good people. We are people who care. And it really is nice because they're nice people. I'm the only bitch, but they are so nice, and they are smart, and they care about, you know, making the world a better place. And we really do love the fans. I truly appreciate the fans, and there's so many people I've met just today who inspire me. They do. It's the truth. I've had a very blessed life compared to so many people, and it's an honor to be part of something. I don't give myself like the credit. It's me. It's the whole thing, to be a role model and to have all of us be role models. That's so cool, because we need role models. You know? Anyway, thank you. Another question? Hi. Oh my, okay. Hi.
Hi, Ms. Mcfadden. Again, I also want to thank you for being here. It's always a thrill for us to get to see you and hear from you like this. Real quick, I do want to say I really have enjoyed Investigates, the podcast.
Hey!
I was excited to see your tweet or whatever that it is going to have a second season.
We are going to have a second season. Yeah, go ahead.
And if I could put in my little plug, I don't know if it's possible, but I would love to hear you talk to Colm Meaney.
You know, I have him on my list. Here's the thing. I have a long list, and everybody's been really great. I know for sure I'm going to have Anson Mount. I'm going to have Kate Mulgrew. I'm going to have, Whoopi has agreed, but we're having a hard time getting it together because people have busy lives. And I'm going to have 2 people from the Lower Decks, Jack Quaid and Tawny. I love that show. I think it's really, really great. I laugh myself silly. I mean, I think there were some fans who a while ago did little videos, years ago, about if you were down below. I think it's hilarious because, we have to have a sense of humor about things, I feel. Sometimes the shows have to be really profound and hard to, they're dramatic. But it's really nice to have a good balance in all these shows. And unlike some people, like the original cast of the original Star Trek, they didn't really watch our show until maybe they were on the cruise and they were forced to because they only show all these shows. That's all you have. There's no Netflix, folks. And, which is great, But I have already watched all these shows, and I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the way they've done them. I know Jonathan, has directed on all of them. He does such a great job, as do all the directors. So I'm honored about that. And I hope you've seen the History Channel. I executive produced and did the narration for the History Channel, which you can see on Paramount Plus. 11 episodes about every Star Trek and the movies. And we'll probably be making more. I loved doing it. I don't know if any of you seen it. It's really great. It's fun. It's really fun. So check that out. And thank you, because I'm honored to be doing the podcast again. And I learned so much about different people, and they are all great. I've never been disappointed.
It would be great to see Dr. Crusher on Lower Decks now that you mentioned it. That would be
Well, I
awesome.
wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people waiting. My question, if I can put it really quickly, when you were doing Next Gen, it was all within a certain amount of time where you went straight from the series to the movies. There wasn't a lot of gaps, maybe a year or 2.
Had a baby, did things like that, yeah.
A lot going on. But then now you just spoke about coming back to Picard. And there, I imagine for the first time, you got to experience what the original crew did of that big gap between they did the original and then they came back and did movies, and it had been over 10 years.
Oh yeah, and it was fantastic. To experience it was great. The thing that you have to keep in mind, we'd all have dinner and, be seeing each other, and we all went to conventions and we'd hang out all the time. So we knew what was happening in our lives. But it was a kick to be back in space uniforms of some sort or another, and just to be like, we'd be sitting in the chair sometime and go, damn, this is really sweet. This is great, And I have to say, it was a phenomenal cast and crew. We had a really great time. I feel so fortunate to have been involved with it. And I hope you like the story as much as I do, because I really loved it.
Yeah, I know we're all excited to see you play that character again.
Good, thank you. Okay. Hi.
Hi. So first, I just want to say how fortunate I feel that you were in such a strong female role model in science. I'm a veterinarian, so I looked to all of these characters growing up and saw the potential that I had, so thank you for that. My question kind of hits on something that you already talked about. Will, your space son, has talked much about...
No longer this.
Yes, how important you were for him growing up in that environment and how difficult it was for him with his own parents. So I was hoping you could kind of give the flip side of that and your experience with him, watching him grow.
Well, I feel it's more important to hear it from him. Do listen to the 2 episodes. I did a double episode with him. And, he's so used to being the one who's interviewing people. I thought, man, this is going to be tough because I'm trying to make it a conversation. So I said, okay, I'm going to make you play games, and we're going to see who wins. And it was a podcast, and so we had to put a penny in a metal bowl to hear, And I said, every time you forget to ask me a question, you lose, and I get a penny in. And so it was really great. It was very funny. But what I would rather say about is how I feel about him. I don't think that any of us realized at the time how important we were to him. because he seemed, sometimes he was like, oh, I don't know if I want to be on a spaceship or whatever. And it's hard for kids because they have to go to the trailer. They can't just hang out with us. They have to go and do classwork with their tutors and stuff. But I was so impressed always with how he kept reinventing himself and developed a very powerful fan base based on who he really was and his own interests, and how open he was about suffering from anxiety. And I thought, you know, I don't know if I would have been as open. I'm learning. I personally feel I have learned so much from every generation younger than myself, especially. I mean, yes, of course I learned from the older generations when I was young, but I'm very impressed with how he was open about talking about things and how much it affected other folks. So we also had a blast. And, you know, when we played Never Have I Ever, I shocked him. And he was like, whoa, no. And I went, hey, you got to try it, you know. I mean, so it's pretty funny, as well as he talks about his difficulties with his parents. But, yeah, I would just listen to it. He speaks eloquently. He's far more eloquent than I am, for example. When we go to these cons and someone asks us a question about Star Trek, I kind of just like, okay, Will, take over. Because he really says how we all feel, and he says it in a very beautiful way.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi.
Hi,
Hi. What's your name?
Maria.
Maria. How are you? I'm Gates. What's going on?
My question is, how did you feel when you were told you were cast in the movie?
You know, I was kind of excited. When I was told when I was cast in a movie, it was really exciting because the first time I'd never been in a big movie. And even when I was cast in a TV show, I had done a lot of theater. So I knew what that was like, and I had also taught at a lot of universities in theater departments, so I knew what that was like. But it was pretty amazing, and you know, some of the productions are huge. Like they have, you know, you have to get up early in the morning. How would you feel about getting like 2 hours of hair and makeup in the morning, like at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.? That'd be tough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's that. There's a couple of downsides, but you know what? They pay you really well usually. And so you just kind of go, okay, thank you. You know, but anyway, it's great. Would you like to be in a movie?
Yeah.
Yeah? What kind of a movie would you like to be in?
I'm not sure about that yet.
Well, just take a guess. You know, I'm not going to hold you to it.
Yeah.
Do you? Do you like to play with a camera like that on your phone?
Yep.
That's great. Like, what's one of the best ones you've done? What was that about?
Like one with like superheroes so far.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you were a superhero, what would be your skill? Maybe, you know?
Probably something have to do with water.
Interesting. That would be great. You know, we need people protecting our water. So that would be excellent. I hope you get to play that part. Or, you know, better yet, why don't you write it and film it? Then you can star in it as well.
Yeah.
All right, nice to talk with you.
Thank you.
Younger generation, I'm telling you, yes.
Oh, she's been watching Star Trek since she was a baby. Like, that was all that would calm her down when she was a baby.
Wow, okay.
So, yeah. Before I ask my question, I just want to say thank you for your influence. I watched your show growing up, and your influence stayed with me long enough that I finally got the courage to go back to school for engineering. So thank you so much.
Fantastic, fantastic.
So my question actually kind of relates to that, though. You know, you had to work a lot of hours. You had to do a lot of traveling. How did you deal with the mom guilt having a child? Because any minute that I'm away from her, like, it's hard not to beat myself up and think, you know, there's an end game, it's gonna be worth it when I'm missing her stuff.
Well, I'll tell you something. This is a place where we need to all take a look at this. And this is, if you want to call this politics, call it politics, but we need daycare for parents.
Yeah.
Because, like, when I was a assistant professor at a university, I wouldn't have been allowed to bring my child to my office, right? You're supposed to be there, and that's the deal. And so if your child's ill or whatever, you're it's really hard. You have to make a tough choice and you might be fired and you don't know. That's too much pressure. I was fortunate to be making enough money that I could pay someone to bring my son to me so I could continue to nurse. And my trailer, I chose a house 5 minutes away from the studio so that that could happen. And my son grew up, and then as he got older, I mean, you know, Jonathan would read him a story. Uncle Brent, who's his godfather, I mean, he just thought he was this weird gold thing. And my son didn't even know who Michael Dorn was without Worf makeup. I mean, it was hilarious. You know, Worf didn't scare him at all, but Michael Dorn was a little scary, you know. So I look back and go, I don't know if I could have done it, to be honest, because being a mother was the thing I wanted most in my life. And I've learned more about life through that experience, and I'm still learning, than anything else. Your children are a mirror to who you are, and sometimes it's hard, but it's also really, really good. And so I think I would have had a hard time. I traveled with him. I'd go to conventions, and I'd have my mom, or I'd have my sister-in-law. I mean, I was lucky, right? Not everyone can do that. And they would pay for first-class seats. So at that time, you could put them in a bassinet and everything, and it was great. It's much harder now, I think, for a lot of people. So, yeah, we need to do something about this, because there's too many people who, if they could just go down in lunch hour and see their kid in a daycare center when they're really little, I mean, then pretty soon they're like, you know, they could care less about you. You know, they're like, oh, you say, hey, did you like my haircut? Oh, yeah, I don't care. You know, whereas when they're little, they're like, you cut your hair! You know, it's a big deal. And it's wonderful to see those things happen. Anyway, yeah, I know that I was lucky to have the trailer, and it made a big difference. And then also, folks, I took some time off. Because again, it's a personal choice. I have no judgment to a woman who does not want to do that, believe me. But for me, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be there as he grew up. So there you go.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Very welcome.
Hey, Ms. McFadden, I'm honored to meet you. I just want to do this little curveball question, a non-Trek question. What was it like working on the set of Labyrinth and choreographing for like David Bowie and amazing stuff like that?
Oh, well, David Bowie, what an artist. That was extraordinary. I mean, I think it was such a vast project, and I had no idea that Jim had actually been testing me out for several years. I didn't know that. I was recommended by the man who had done the choreography for The Dark Crystal. I was known as someone who did a lot of movement work in my directing and my acting, things like that. So I was supposed to play the mother of Jennifer Connelly. That's why I said yes. And British Equity would not let me do it. And that's the difference of British Equity. We let those people come over. All the Brits can act over here, the Australians, whatever. It's not so easy to reverse. And that's why I said yes. And then I was denied it. And I had signed a contract for a year. It was a full 9 or 10 months. But it was quite an experience, extraordinary people involved, obviously. High pressure. If you see photos of me, you'll notice I have zero makeup. My hair looks a mess. I never had 2 seconds to think about anything like that. It was all like, okay, I'm working with the goblins. Okay, I've got this, I've got Hoggle. Okay, it's Ludo. And now, it's the ballroom scene. But on the other hand, I mean, I think the ballroom scene was ultimately my favorite because by that time, there was so much pressure and so many stages. It was such a beautiful, the stages. I walked into that ballroom scene. I got to cast my dancers in that. I got to work with them and work with David Bowie and Jennifer, and we did the whole thing, and it was pretty cool. It was really a lot of fun. I did feel it worked. I don't know how you feel, but I felt it was a really kind of magical thing. And obviously the costumes and everything were phenomenal. But I wanted it to be sort of grotesque and sort of sexy too, sort of both things going. But there are a few people who could walk out in the outfit that the Goblin King, who was David Bowie, he walked out, and man, he owned it.
Okay.
I know no other man who could have walked out like that. And those boots that were so high up, he just owned it. But when we were filming, you know, there were, we had waited, they were changing his hair and makeup constantly. So we were on the set and it was boiling hot. It must have been 110 degrees on that set, all these lights. And they had had real crows that were there. And the crows, it was so hot, when they were ready to shoot, he finally came out, the crows were all, and they went, okay, that's not gonna work. And so we had to stop again and they had to go, they took those crows and gave them, you know, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, I don't know. But then they brought back the fake crows, which they could have had in the beginning, and they worked just as well. They kind of looked like they were alive, so there you go. But it was quite something.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Ms. Mcfadden, and back to Next Gen. So you had a wonderful character as the Chief Medical Officer, and I know you had a lot of expository roles where you had to explain stuff, and it seemed like you didn't get to develop yourself as a character as much as I would have hoped. Did you ever have to fight to try and get more development in your character, and what was the means that you were trying to gain with it?
Well, yes, of course I was. I mean, I wasn't there second season because I argued with one of the producers. I mean, I had been told the character was very popular, but I started to feel that there was some questionable kind of sexist, racist scripts, and I had been on theater faculties. We talk about things. I can say to somebody, I didn't like that production so much, and they wouldn't be offended, so they would, you know, fire me. It's like you could talk about it. And I didn't understand the politics in studio system. Now I do. So I think I put my foot in it several times, and I wanted, to be honest, I really wanted more of a relationship that I had had with my niece and nephew and with my son, with Crusher. What often happens is, now I think it's changing. I do think it's changing, so please make no mistake about that. But earlier, I think there were so many male producers and writers, and they were guilty they weren't home with their kids. And their wives and kids were like, where are you, Daddy? You know, well, I'm making a thing. And so I think they got to have all of these pithy talks with Wesley that they never gave Crusher. I was always just the, oh, shut up, Wesley, or, oh, you're back, you know, or I'm back from the warp bubble that you caused. And I kept saying to them, well, wait a minute, who do we think raised this genius child? And I said, I think they could talk about a few things, like I talk about philosophy and all kinds of stuff with my family. And it's not just Mom, and here's your lunchbox, and you know what I mean, and behave. It's not just that at all. It's actually the most wonderful thing when you can discuss things that are really important. Like, you know, how do you feel about love? How do you feel about sex? How do you feel about drugs? How do you feel about all these things? And I felt that they only showed men talking about important things like that. So while it's true that Wesley didn't have his father, Jack Crusher, and it was wonderful, the things that he and Picard would do, truly wonderful. I loved those things. I had just said, I wish there was more, you know, for us. And then there'd be a series like Angel One, a show like Angel One, and I'd go, really? This is a planet of all women. They've been taking care of everything for so long, and William Riker comes down and they just lose their mind. I mean, I know he's good looking, but really? Really? And you know, if you think about it, that just would not happen now, okay? And for a good reason, thank goodness it wouldn't. I mean, it's absurd. And so it was things like that. I was like, gosh, wow. And then there was that one really racist episode. Anyway, whatever. That was first season, okay? And then when I came back, there were a lot of Diana Muldaur scenes for Pulaski. And so all of a sudden my character was like a matron. I'm like, wait a minute. You know, so it was a while. It took a while for me to get my mojo back on that. But it's been a fabulous journey, so there you go. Thank you.
And just a quick follow-up, there was the one where your ancestor ghost possessed you.
You would bring that up, okay? I mean, you know, I cannot get through a con without that, right? I should come out with a lamp, okay? I mean, that was my 7th season. Here's the backstory on that. So Jerry Taylor wanted to have some romantic episode for Beverly Crusher. That's so great. That's so great. All right? Okay. But my whole women's line, we were all in love with a lamp and a ghost, and you know, that's how we got off. Was, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was it came out of left field, let me put it that way, okay? But when Jonathan was directing, I went, okay, let's just have fun with this. I'm gonna go with it, whatever. You know, it was not my idea. I was an actor who was given a script. I did the best job I could do, and I enjoyed doing it. And I have been mercilessly mocked but that's fine.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hi. Thank you for Star Trek. You are amazing, and it has helped me through a lot. So thank you. What was it like being able to showcase some of your dancing talent with the episode with Data being able to?
Well, that was Data's day. It was fun. They also let me choreograph, and they let me add 2 lines in there because it was for comedy. Because I have had, you wouldn't know it from my character of Crusher, but I have such a background in comedy and theater. I know, you'd never know it. But, so I was happy to do it, but I was also very pregnant, and I had to hide my pregnancy. So if you think I was eating too many, rolls, it actually was my son. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and I got to cast this amazing double tap dancer. He was great. And I thought that's the kind of thing I loved doing with the Crusher character. I thought that was really fun. And then all of a sudden, one episode, I'm the theater coach for the ship. I'm like, when does this surgeon have time to do all this, right? I mean, she's teaching dance, she's doing theater, she's raising her child, and wow. But there you go. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. And I think I might speak for everybody here if you were to use that text group and maybe coax some of your on-screen family to join you next time. We would love that. But I wanted to say that the finale, All Good Things, was a masterclass in how to end a show. A lot of shows start off great, Game of Thrones, and then kind of let it go towards the end. But you guys really brought it together, and you had the family feel, and everything was just great. I imagine the family atmosphere you guys had made it easy, but I'd also kind of like to hear about, you guys knew it was coming to the end, and Generations was coming, but...
Well, no, actually, there were a couple of us I was exhausted. And I was filming another job, a movie with John Wells. He was doing a pilot with Jane Curtin, and I was flying up to Portland to do it at the same time as I was shooting All Good Things. And sometimes I'd have to be in age makeup, and sometimes I'd not. So I think a couple of us were really tired because we knew that the other movie was coming up. And then I had an upcoming job on Oahu. I filmed in Hawaii for a year. So it was bittersweet, but we knew we were going to see each other. So I think for me, if I hadn't had a child, it might have been different. But I couldn't wait to spend time with my son. I really, and going to Hawaii, it was great because we could walk on the beach every single day. Every place we shot was like paradise, and there was some little place he could be. And so that's truthfully where I was. Now, cut to now, when I was told I was going to be doing 3rd season of Picard, beyond thrilled. It was so cool because I really wanted to take a look at who Crusher was and what had happened, and I thought it was really cool. And I loved the story. I really loved the story. I feel they really honored Crusher nicely. And so that was great. And we'd see each other when we'd come back for the movies. But remember, we're all doing conventions. But I agree with you. I think the writers, I'm not going to take credit, the writers came up with a beautiful ending, beautiful way to do this double episode. And I really think they should have submitted it. We should have won an Emmy. I think it was a beautiful, beautiful way to go out. And I loved shooting. I mean, it really was beautiful. It was moving, very moving to all of us. So, yeah.
Very rare. Thank you.
Hello, Ms. McFadden. I'd like to say I did like I did like seeing Dr. Crusher in the command roles during season 7, like when she'd take over the night shift, or the last episode with Data's evil twin, and she really nailed the command role.
Oh, thank
really
you.
well.
I love Descent too. That was really fun.
Yeah.
That was the first time. I had been wanting to do that. And see, what's tricky is they already knew at Paramount they were going to have Kate Mulgrew come up. So they didn't want to have too much of a woman being commander because they wanted it to be special. So that's another thing that happened to the women in our series, which is Maureen and me, basically, because Denise didn't come back after the first season. But I think, anyway, it was great to see that happen. And I had done a joke. Are you videotaping? He's videotaping. Yeah, he is. We'll just stare him down. Oh, okay. I did it. I tried to play a trick on Patrick when he came back, forgetting he was incredibly nearsighted. Okay. Oh. So I had asked the set people to put pictures of Wesley Crusher all over the bridge. And I was in a bathrobe with hair curlers. Like I thought, I was like, and I had these very great looking extras who were like next to me, kind of like sexy. And I had a champagne thing. And he walked in and he couldn't see any of it. And I'm like, I'm thinking like just a little chuckle. He didn't see it at all. And we read the scene and I'm like, really? Really? Put your glasses on. Anyway, it was funny. Okay. All right.
Yeah, but that was actually going to be part of my question was, if given the opportunity, would you have wanted to see Crusher in more command?
Absolutely, because I think, but again, you have to understand, it's a big franchise, and they've got plans for shows that are coming up, and so we don't really. It's whoever is doing the producing of that who gets the say on things. So yeah, that's just the way of the world. Okay, if we had not had so many coming up afterwards, yeah, it might have been different. But I'm still thrilled with whatever I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need a doctor?
I'm dead. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I have brought people back. I'm just saying, there was that one episode, but
So you remember at the beginning when you said that you couldn't pick a favorite, like actors and stuff?
What?
That you couldn't pick favorite people? That you couldn't pick favorite people,
No, what do you mean?
When you were talking about the cast for Star Trek.
Oh, that I couldn't pick favorite?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, what's your least favorite movie or TV show or something like that?
Oh God, you're so funny. I am sometimes fascinated by horrible, like really badly done movies, I'm not someone who's into the horror genre, sadly, okay? But I like the psychological thrillers, I like things like that. I like drama, all that. And I'm very into international movies. I don't know, I can't really I just don't make my list of least favorite things. I think there's so much good material out there. I mean, what's your least favorite? Don't say Next Generation.
Well, I don't know.
You see, snap, that's it. I mean, it's like, people go, what's your favorite book that you've ever written? I'm like, oh God, well there's Dostoevsky, and then there's it's hard. I heard Anson Mount say, can I get back to you on that? And that's really the best way, because there's so much good stuff out there now. And that's great, because there's all different genres, and I love that. I love shows like Hacks, I think is hilarious. I think, I love Jean Smart so much. She's so talented. There's so many talented people. It's just, we're so lucky to be at this time with so many talented people. Anyway, yeah, I wish I could tell you what I really can't stand, but I don't watch it, so. Okay? All right, take care. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Gates. Tell us something about how your work in motion and choreography has informed your own acting.
I studied with, I started dance when I was 2.5 years old, and I did every kind of dance that was available in Ohio. I had two teachers. One was a ballerina, had been a ballerina, and the other teacher had been in a circus, she and her sister. So, and this is like in the 50s and 60s, before Cirque du Soleil, trust me. And I did weird things, like I learned how to walk on a giant wooden ball. I rode the unicycle. I did weird things like that. We did acrobatics, and we're lucky we didn't kill ourselves, because it's nothing like we used to do it on this tiny little mat, rubber mat. We could have killed ourselves. I would tap dance on concrete floors for hours, and I wondered how my knees got bad. I did kick line. I did everything. And then I went through all that period, and then I got into modern dance in college, and I really liked that. And I had been, by then I'd been studying acting. But what happens when you learn, movement is just, that's it for me. I think in movement. I watch a camera and I'm moving with the camera. It's the dynamic that I know really well. I went to France and studied with a man named Jacques Lecoq, and we worked on rhythm and silence and immobility, and how powerful it can be when you just stop. So like when I did a role like, I played a Pinter role in New York City, the Homecoming, and I played a character named Ruth. And I did not move my head or a muscle unless there was a reason to move that had to do with the story. And for me, one of the things that's been important, because I can fidget a lot. I think it's because I'm nervous, or I'm actually, believe it or not, folks, I'm an introvert. And I was pushed by my parents and acting and all of this to put on a performance, right? But actually, I'm really cool, and I'm just kind of in quiet. So I think for me, it was a way of dealing with things to actually focus on my movement, because I'm not fidgeting. Like when I was a little girl, I used to have all this tension in my toes because they'd be having us show what we're doing for mommy and daddy, but inside my shoes, I'd be scared. And if you would have seen my toes, you would have known I was going like this. So what I do when I'm thinking in terms of acting is I really take control of my movement. And I don't move if there's not a reason. And I decide, where is the center of this character? Is the character someone who thinks with their pelvis? Are they someone who thinks with their heart? Are they an intellect, and they're leading with their head? I love things like that. It's the details. And what kind of shoes do you wear? And what kind of hands, right? And all of that. Are you someone who touches things? There's a lot of people who don't like to touch. So that changes how a character is. And if you put those things in the back of your mind and you detail it, it makes acting, for me, so rich and so much fun. Of course you need to know what the story's about, what's your objective, what do you want, and do you like that person, all that. But, I love it. Because it's how you hold something. I can hold a mic like this. I can hold a mic like this. It gives you a different attitude, right? I'm doing this. Yeah. Yeah, I like. Yes, I like that. It's a very different thing. I might say the same words, but that's what I like.
Thank you. It shows in your work.
Lily, those flowers are beautiful. They all opened incredibly. Thank you.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I work for now. You ever get out when you work with the Muppets?
What was it like?
Yeah, how was you work with the Muppets?
Well, what would you imagine it was like with Kermit?
How about with Miss Piggy?
Oh, she's wild, man. No, she was jealous. Anytime I would talk to Kermit, she was like on me. She was tough. Frank Oz, so wonderful. I love Miss Piggy. What a great character. And Kermit, you just fall in love with, basically. It's the truth. He's just so sweet, that face. And yeah, I love puppets. Always have, actually. Hi.
Hi. Thanks for coming here. Do you channel your character, Dr. Crusher, in your real life? And what do you do for your self-care?
I do a lot of brain surgery in my real life. And I find that I'm getting better. I've lost a few people, but you know, if they're dumb enough to come to my garage. So, no, Patrick said just last weekend, he and I were at San Diego Comic-Con, he was going, you know, I don't know where Picard leaves off and I begin. I don't feel that way, actually. I feel that Crusher is a separate person. Yes, there are certain things. We're both maternal, we have that sort of feeling. But I am not a nerd, a techie nerd. I am like the one going, can anyone help me? My computer's just not happening. You see, that's the person I am. And I wish I was the other way around. I wish I was like, Crusher's just like, she'd fix it in a second. Like, what, do we have a disease? Okay, give me 40 minutes without commercials. We'll all have vaccines, right? And, you know. So that's what I wish I had of her. I wish I had that sharpness about brain and medicine. I'm interested in all of those things. I used to read a lot of Dr. Oliver Sacks. He was a neuro, that's who I based Crusher on. But it was I really read his books and I wanted Gene to do a story on awakenings and that found out that they were already doing a movie of it with Robin Williams. But that was an idea because I brought that to Gene and so I think there is a difference, but obviously there's qualities that come in as it should be. You know, that's why I'm doing it and not another actor. Yeah, so that's about it. What was the last part of the question?
What do you do for your self-care?
For self-care, which is a very important question, binge watching. No, well, I have done that occasionally. And sometimes it's great because, you know, when I was doing the show, I didn't even own a television for years because I was always working at night in the theater, and then I was with my son and I didn't want to bring him up with a lot of media. Now it's impossible not to, but I actually love poetry. I love gardening. I find putting my energy into the earth, weeding, things like that is really nice. I love music, and I love just being calm and kind of meditative without it being a massive program. I work out with Pilates and small weights, and I don't do it a whole bunch of time, but I eat well. And it was a really hard thing for me to suddenly shift. This was quite a few years ago now, because I had big food allergies. I've talked to some of you about it, and I used to have these migraines, and they kept getting worse and worse. Well, it turns out they were food allergies, and I haven't had one migraine for 30 years since I went off of this stuff. So it was gluten and dairy. And if I start cheating and I start eating like croissants for 3 days, I just start to not feel so good, you know? So again, I've learned a lot by just that. I think it's hard to stay on it with self-discipline. I find self-discipline can be really hard. So you have to forgive yourself when you go off a little, and then you get back on the program. And usually when my knees hurt or anything's not feeling good, it's because I'm not stretching. I mean, seriously, and I don't do long workout. If I do 20 minutes a day, if you do 10 minutes a day, sometimes I just do 5 minutes a day, and it makes you feel like, well, at least I did something. You know, I did it while I was waiting for the elevator. I did, you know. So that's what I encourage people to do. Yes, it's great to also spend much more time doing it, but you have to have a lifestyle that can afford that and gives you the time. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, so I couldn't pass up this opportunity. All right, I was rewatching The Next Generation recently. Okay. And in the early seasons, I text my friend and go, you know what? I feel like Dr. Crusher is the world's first Karen, right?
A what?
The world's first Karen. Hold on, don't lose me. No, because like her relationship with Captain Picard, she like immediately goes to Captain Picard, right? I'm gonna go to the captain, right? But as the show went on, right, she got more. In my term, I feel like, you know...
I was coming on to him that I was zipping down my...
Yeah, they were end up in the ready room with a cup of tea, you know, whatever her issue was. But as the show went on, I felt like Crusher got into her own. Like she became more like a senior member of the staff, like she should have been. And I'm just curious if that was just a natural progression of the writing, or if you had something to do with that. Because
Listen, it all comes down to the writing. I don't agree with you about the Karen thing. I mean, seriously, I think, no, here's why. No, but here's why. Because I don't think she was always telling other people what to, I think she was listening to people. I don't think Karen's listened to people
Well, that's
enough.
true. I just meant in terms that she would go immediately to the cap, like.
No, I don't think that's true. I mean, if the thing is, if this is the person that you've known the longest on the ship, it's her best friend. They have a friendship that goes back from when he was really young with her husband. So I think, and there's always been some chemistry, so it's a little different. And in the beginning, a lot of fans thought that Wesley was his son. So, I mean, I think there was a reason for they were trying to show that we had a connection. I think that's what it was. And the fact that we both, when we were, under that virus, that silly episode, which I got in a lot of trouble for unzipping because we weren't supposed to have zippers in the 24th century. But they didn't tell me. I didn't know. But no, that's why that was happening. And it's the way things were being written. I think now you're allowed to be all kinds of things. You don't have to just be, I'm being strict, I do this, I do this. You'll see in this next season, I mean, if you're in a command position and you're a scientist, and you're the chief medical officer, like Riker and I were the same rank, it's tough. And so they were developing a Riker-Troy thing, and then, so that's why, I think. But I had a lot of stuff with Data. Data and I would talk about a lot of stuff, and I think that was even in first season. What was sad is that I didn't have scenes with the women. And you see, that's maybe why you put me on the thing, because women were either they're sexy, like Denise in that thing, and I was not supposed to, because I was a mother. Mothers aren't allowed to be sexy. That's what it seemed like. And of course we are in real life, or there wouldn't be children. Right? Okay, so I mean, I think that was part of it. And again, I came back and I was more of a matron because they were Pulaski scripts. I think it takes, the difference on Picard is there's women writers, there's more women writers, and it's a younger group. And I find that younger people see the whole person much more. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry you saw her that way. I certainly wasn't trying to portray her that way, but I was playing the line.
I don't think it was you. It was just like the writing, I felt like. But thank you so much for being gracious in your answer.
I think, the writers, Gene saw women a certain way, and it's like, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
We're out of time. Yeah, oh my God, quick. Oh, I know. You really, you're the Karen here. See? We're out of time, okay? And I'm videotaping you and you go, no, okay, I'm kidding. So just give me fast question, fast.
Right there, her sticker.
Elena, she's last.
I was just going to ask if you had any interesting experiences with Gene Roddenberry.
Lots of them. Okay, thank you very, very much.
Everyone, please give a huge round of applause for Gates McFadden.